Hi friends, welcome to my new tutorial and also here to my new studio. I moved places, which is why I didn't upload a lot of videos in the last couple of weeks, but now I'm back and also in this new space here, which I'm super happy to have. It's not fully there yet, still a lot of things to do, but yeah, I would be happy to show you around. If that's something you're interested in, leave me a comment down below. But today's topic is something different. We want to talk about rhythmic or rhythms on the Digitakt. How to create really cool grooves and rhythmic feels when you're producing electronic music. And the main idea behind that is that I have a concept that I like to use to add groove to my jams. And this basically has 3 steps. The first one is that I like to lay down the main groove, which is then, for example, 4 on the floor kick drum or a snare on the 2nd and on the 4th step. And this way add the general groove that I want to have. The second step is to add additional percussive elements, which are then supporting this groove, but a little bit more in the background. And then the third step is to have an additional percussive track that is just there to include a loop, for example, and then have a looped sample playing, or to add further elements that are a little bit more in the background and further add up to the groove of your jam. So if you're struggling with adding groove to your music, maybe this video will help you. Let's get right to it. Okay, let's start with the main percussive elements. And here we need to decide how we place our main percussive elements, which for me are the kick, the snare, the closed hi-hat and the open hi-hat. Let's first start with a kick. By the way, all these sounds that I'm using here are from my sample packs or sound packs that you can find down in the video description if you're interested in that. They're actually free to download for the Digitakt and for the DIGITONE. Okay, let's start with a kick. And with a kick you can now decide, of course, if we wanted to go for a straight techno, we'd go 4 on the floor, but you could also do something like this or like this. Yeah, just some variation, but for this groove, I now want to go with a classic 4 on the floor beat. And this is now very important because the main percussive elements that you place decide significantly how your groove will develop and how, basically you can see it like they are the cornerstones for the groove that you want to lay down. Okay, then let's go for the snare. And here, now you would say, okay, basically you have a 4 on the floor beat. Then you would go, yeah, with hits on the 2 and the 4 with the snare. But here also you have some variation that you can go to. And this also sets how your groove will further develop. So for example, of course, we could leave it like this, but you could also say, for example, this one should be a little bit earlier. And you can immediately hear how this adds further movement to the groove. Okay, let's leave it like that and move on to the closed hi-hat. Here, classic would be just to put down 16th notes. Decay time is a little bit too long. Okay, very static, but this also adds some rhythmic feel and groove to the jam that you have. And then we can go for the open hi-hat, which is this one here. And there you would basically just go down and lay down an offbeat hi-hat. And you have a very basic, let's say, yeah, very basic techno groove. And now the interesting part comes when you say, okay, for example, with this closed hi-hat, I don't want to go with this pattern. For example, we have here where the snare is playing, we want to hit have another hit. And you can hear immediately how it adds to the groove. We can also make this one here a little shorter. And you can see how we yeah, how we basically moved from a very basic groove to something a little bit more individual, let's say. And this is the main thing about the chapter that I will come to now, the additional percussive elements, because these will define how your groove flows and how you really add a lot of movement to the track. So now that we set the main percussive elements and say, okay, this is the groove that we want to go for, now it's time to add the additional percussive elements. Okay, let's now go to the additional percussive elements. And here we want to go back to the kick. And now what we can do here is to add some additional kick tricks to add further to this groove. I like to do it here at the very end. So what I always do is that I put a kick here, but this kick has definitely a lower volume and it also has a slower attack. And is in general shorter. So basically it's not really a ghost kick, but something that's just not so audible like the main kick. A bit more body to it, maybe like this. Even too much audible, let's make it a little bit more in the background. A little bit shorter, yeah, like this. So that the really important part with this additional percussive elements is that the main percussive elements that we decided on in the previous step are always in the foreground, and the other ones are very much in the background. You could also say, for example, now here, if we go to the Elektron sequencer and say, okay, this one should only play every second round the sequencer runs through. Like this, for example. And then you could also say you want to do the same thing maybe before this note, but this maybe also just every third round. So we do it like this. And then you have also a little bit variation, because this is coming only every third and this is coming only this is coming every second and this every third, and this is also that these two are kind of like not interfering with each other, but yeah, playing a little bit with each other. Okay, let's move on to the snare, and here now we can decide pretty much the same things. What I like to do and what I find kind of cool is to add some snare fills. So here just laying down a trick, and now the retrig option is very cool. You can access this, by the way, by holding down a step or a trick and then pressing the up button, and now you enter this menu, and now you need to set it on, and now you can basically decide, okay, how long is this trick, how long it's not like you can't preview it, which is a little bit sad, but here you can also decide on the rate. Let's go for something a little bit odd, like maybe 1/12th note, and then see how it sounds. Maybe a little bit earlier here. Okay, now you can directly hear, okay, this is way too loud and needs to be more in the background. And here we do basically the same thing. We make it more silent and definitely make the note shorter, or change a little bit of the character, maybe add some attack. Something, yeah, like this, to make it really a little bit more tiny. I think that the 12 doesn't add so nicely to the groove and also needs to be shorter, so we go maybe for something like this. Yeah, way better. And yeah, I want it even more in the background. Still give it some delay. Sorry, I need to set the delay settings a little bit. So definitely want some of this. I'm just doing some dotted eighth notes is fine. And then we go for reverb, set this one as well. Maybe something like this. Okay. All right, I think that should do for now. Okay, back to our step here. Okay, now we can hear it. It has a little bit of a ping pong delay, which is super nice. And just really tiny amount. This is already too much. Let's go maybe for something like this. Just very slightly in the background. Okay, I think this is cool. Just for now to give you an example. And the other thing I like to do is that I sometimes like to fade in my my snares. So for example, let's go into this one here, and we have this sample here. And now what I want to do is to reverse it like this. Okay, we need to set it differently. Oh, sorry, here we go. A little closer. Sorry, this is just a little bit testing. Okay, already too much. And maybe we also want this to play, let's say, every second round. So this needs to be set to this. And I want it a little closer here. Just testing around right now. And what you could also do is, for example, now that you say, okay, this one could, by the way, also go just every second, or let's do it every first round so that they are changing. And now what we could do, what I also like to do is we've all the time been using just 16 steps. We can, of course, extend the pattern length now to 32. Let's set it per track. Okay. And what we can now do basically is also on the snare, let's say on this step here, we want some reverb, and then we can go here. Maybe already a little bit too much. Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely too much. What I also like to do is to kind of like increase the reverb, so that we say basically, okay, we start here. Here we have 0. Then here we have, let's say 15. Here we go and have, let's say 25. And then here 35. Yeah, that's fine. Just a little bit more room to the sounds. Okay, then let's move on to the hi-hats. Here what we can do, and what I just prepared off camera because my camera was actually full, so I didn't record it. But just what I did here is that I added some accentuate notes on the hi-hat track. So let me show you how this sounds. And it's basically that I just added every third note. I increased the decay a little and also the drive. And then I just copy and pasted this every third note. And now I have a little bit. If you let it play with the other tracks, they have a little bit of a polyrhythmic feel and a little bit of polyrhythmic feel due to these accentuate notes, which is a great thing that you can do to add a little bit groove to a static 16th notes hi-hat track. What you can also do is, for example, to add an LFO. I just have one here that you can then route to the amp decay time. I like to choose then the sine wave form here and let it float freely. And then you can start to increase the depth. And you can hear, if you're going too extreme, of course, it doesn't sound that good. But if you lower it, you can hear that it adds additional groove to the sound. And this can also be something that is very cool, to add even more groove. Okay, now we can move on to the closed hi-hat track, which currently is just open notes basically. Sorry, I need to unmute it. So just notes on the offbeat. And now we want to add a little bit more rhythmic feel to that. So what I like to do now is to listen what the closed hi-hat track is playing and try to support the groove with the open hi-hats. Let's quickly do that. Okay, but this is of course way too extreme. So here again, I go into the amp, make this way shorter, maybe like this. And also way more quiet. And this one here, also what we can do is to add a little bit of attack. Make it also shorter. Let's see how this sounds. Okay, really like that. So I copy the page over and maybe we can add some more elements here as well on the second page. Okay, this is still way too loud, so this needs to be more quiet, more in the background, maybe somewhere like this. A little bit too quiet. It's just always about finding the sweet spot. Yeah, I think this is cool, so we copy it over. Okay, perfect. And now we further want to add so maybe here at this trick, it would be nice to have kind of like a little bit of a hi-hat roll. So what I like to do then is to go again here to the retrick and say, okay, we want to have 16th notes across the length of 3. And then I also make this one shorter, maybe a little bit of attack. And maybe something like this. Also a little bit of delay, why not? Like this. And then, okay, we have this one playing, let's say, every second round. And this one is then just playing every first round. So that in the first round we have a regular offbeat hi-hat and then we have this fill. Let's see how it sounds. Regular one, and now comes the fill one. Yeah, cool, like it. Let's now move on to step number 3, which is also an additional percussion tracks. You might have noticed that till now we have only used 4 tracks of the Digitakt, and on track number 5 I like to have some percussion to further support the loop. I already prepared something here, so this is actually a sound coming from my sample pack, and you can just hear when I play our groove and now add this to it. It immediately adds to the groove. Can also slow it down a little bit. So this one here is now tuned to 12, maybe 12 tones, like 1 octave higher. You can also go down here. We can also set it to -12, which then sounds like this. Can also be cool. But the fast one, I think I definitely like the best. Okay, what else could you do to the percussion track? One other thing I really like to do is just to throw a bunch of random stuff in here. So yeah, just place a couple of tricks here, make all of them like re-trick ones, playing maybe like this. This one goes, oh sorry, this one goes here, this one goes here, and then we have another one maybe here. And then all of these tricks I'm giving a percentage to play, so a trick probability, which says, okay, all of these tricks are playing with 60%. Maybe let's put it like this. And now, of course, we need to change the sounds on this, because right now it's just the source, the sample that we loaded up, but we can go for some additional stuff. Rim shot like this, why not? Something like this. Let's go for the snare here. Okay. Also make it longer here. This one, of course, as well. Okay. I'm just trying around right now. Also pen them a little bit, or actually let's go and add an LFO to the panning so that it just floats around a little bit. Of course, make it a little slower. Maybe non-rhythmic, something like this. Weird time signature, a little bit more. Okay, then we have another sound here, but we want this one, let's say, what can it be? Another, we also use this. I'm just searching around right now for some stuff, maybe something like this. And then, of course, add a ton of reverb to it. Okay, way too much in the foreground. Make it yeah, I think you get the idea. So just that you very slightly in the background have just some sounds going on that further support the groove that we are playing, and this way add to the jam and add more rhythmic feel. This was just very randomly, but then when you throw things in like that very randomly, you can see, okay, which sounds you like and which sounds you don't like, and which sounds you like at which position, for example, and then you can move on from there and really build these additional percussive elements on your percussive track the way you want them to be, and put them in the perfect position, choose the perfect samples, the perfect sample length, the perfect reverb amount, maybe also some delay would be great. Yeah, already very nice. And this way I like to add a groove to the jams and really yeah, make a quite static groove come a little bit more to life. And yeah, that wraps up today's video. I hope you found it useful. Maybe you can let me know what kind of techniques you like to use when you want to add groove to your jams and to your music. If you have anything to share, I'm super happy to hear that. And yeah, like I said, all the sounds that I used here are from my sample pack, and the kick drum actually from the sound pack of the DIGITONE. You can find links to both down in the video description. I hope you had a good time. I definitely had. Wishing you a great day. Enjoy your day. Keep making music and see you soon. Bye.